Shoots and Ladders, episode 11. You can find us on Spotify and YouTube at the Shoots and Ladders. My name is Jason.
I'm Deseree Jason.
This is going to be a fun episode. This is going to be kind of a deep dive into the both of us and how we got into wrestling, who are our favorites in multiple different categories. This is going to be a very fun conversation. Again, please chime in. Please DM us at the Shoots and Ladders and kind of tell us why you became a fan of wrestling, who are your favorites in all these categories as well. This will be a lot of fun. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with a kind of a brief bio. So how did you get into wrestling?
Glad you asked. I was born and raised into it. I wasn't necessarily from a family of wrestlers, but I came from a generation of like a family that loved wrestling throughout the years. My granddaddy loved wrestling and he would go to our local Coliseum. And this was back in like the 60s, and he would do go to house shows. He brought my mom back in the 70s. And so she was really lucky enough to see, like Dusty Rhodes wrestle, and it was like at the territories. And then when she had us, I have two older brothers, and they obviously watched it. And then I was born and a super fan was made. So yeah, I had no other choice but to love it. And I can say, I'm proudly a generation lover of wrestling. So I have different, I guess, decades. So like the golden age, we loved, the Monday Night Wars, ruthless aggression, like everything. I loved everything about it. So anything that I can do to be a part of this business, I will do.
That's so awesome. I wish I had the same story. So my parents hated wrestling, hated it. I know. I have an older brother. He actually got me into wrestling because obviously I'm 5 years younger. So he would have it on and I would have it on. He had some of the figure side. I was play with him. And I kind of just took the love to, I guess, a different level. I'm a very loyal person. And I've said this multiple times. I see wrestling as a childhood friend, and it's hard for me to ever let it go. And what I mean by that, yeah. And going back to what you're saying about how like you've kind of stayed a fan throughout. They did a campaign years ago about how there is no offseason in wrestling. It's on every single week. So it's not like football or basketball or baseball. I'm just a huge sports guy in general. But when the season ends for some of those sports, yeah, there are other sports to kind of carry over, but there is no offseason in wrestling. So now going back to, I was literally watching wrestling since I was 3. I specifically remember the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan WrestleMania 4 angle and kind of going throughout that. I remember WrestleMania 7. I remember when Sergeant Slaughter won the title and I was sick to my stomach as a kid. There was something about that angle that just struck a nerve, which hats off to the writers. I think it struck a nerve for a lot of people. When Hulk Hogan won, that was so cool. That was awesome. I actually didn't have, we moved from Penner Pines to Weston, so I didn't have cable for about a year. So I still would wake up every Saturday and my brother and I would watch WCW. And that's what with Sting, Luger, and the Steiner brothers and stuff. But when we moved, for some reason, I kind of lost touch a little bit, to be honest with you. But I never cut it off. Mm-hmm. And then what really piqued my interest again was WrestleMania 12 with Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, the Iron Man match. that was classic. Undertaker and Diesel, I thought it was amazing. I loved them both, and the fact that they were finally going to wrestle. I was also a big basketball guy, so anyone that was like, I played power forward, so that's why I loved Kevin Nash or Diesel or Michael. And I love the Undertaker because I know they both played basketball also. And then fast forward a couple months later, NWO was born. And that was 96. From that point on, that was like the golden age, kind of like you said, from about 96 until 2002-ish. That was the golden age of wrestling. And that's when it became cool because I used to get made fun of wrestling, but then all of a sudden now it became cool. So yeah. And well, actually, hold on. Let's briefly talk about that. How many times have you been made fun of for liking wrestling?
Oh, I still to this day, I am. I think when I was little, I just looked past it and I was like, whatever. But it was in middle school. That was the beginning of Monday Night Wars. So I was at 9 o'clock, I was busy on Monday nights as like a seventh grader. I was like, I have to go back and forth.
Yeah,
I had to use the picture in picture or the flashback thing on my remote
me
and then
too.
pick and choose. But I remember on Tuesday mornings, I was in gym class and I wish I was still in contact with some of these boys. So I, because we would sit in gym class and talk about, oh, did you see what happened with NWO or did you see DX? And what's Stone Cold doing? That it was just nonstop for a couple of years.
Yeah,
And I remember some of my other friends were like, "What are you talking about?" And no,
yeah,
I loved it. And still to this day,
yeah,
I have to find like that's why we're friends.
yeah, 1,000,000%.
Is we're like, "Oh, did you see that?" Because there's
Yeah,
some people that just don't get it.
yeah,
It's so much fun.
yeah. It really is. And again, going back to what I was saying, that it's a friend that I'm not gonna let go. I would say in general too. Like, I mean, again, and I know other people kind of have the same experiences as far as with TV shows. Like some people say the same thing with like about Seinfeld or Friends or something like that. But and for me, it'd be Boy Meets World, obviously. But it is that comfort that you have when you get to watch wrestling, and I totally agree, and I love it. So I've been, so now that we're going on, I'm 41 now. So like, this has been a long, long time of having that friend and I love it. So yeah, that is my story on how I got into it.
I agree. It's nostalgic for me, and that's I 100% agree.
Mm.
And I think the true fans really get it. And I say it's an emotional connection that I have. So when I get really excited when I go to these conventions to meet these men that I have watched on TV for years, when I get that feeling of it's because I'm like, oh my God, 10-year-old me is jumping on the inside, and 36-year-old me is like, oh, it's still happening.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? On that note too, like going back to that, oh man, I wish I had the network when I was in middle school and high school. That would have been the dream.
Yeah. It's great. I'm
Um,
glad they still have it on Peacock though, so we
oh
can
yeah,
just rewind and that's what I fall asleep to. I put on like old matches or documentaries and it's like a lullaby and I
yeah.
just listen to it and go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? And I want to give credit where credit's due, at least for me personally. Talking about the golden age of wrestling, the one that's been forgotten by a lot, but I don't care. I'm going to bring it up. ECW just took it to a new level. I used to record 2 o'clock in the morning, like because it would come. Sometimes I'd stay up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I record it. You just set record at the time. This is before things were archived and stuff in DVR, and that was fun. I went to a couple house shows. We'll talk about that in a second, but ECW was so much fun. Anyone that ever went to any of those shows can actually testify what I'm saying, and like what an interaction that you had while like they would always go in the stands and fight, and like it was so much fun. They used to go to Fort Lauderdale War Memorial, and so it was a smaller venue, so it was such a closer experience. You got there, everyone. So that's another. We'll get to that in a minute, but yeah, it was so much fun. All right, so the first category we're gonna get to, and this is gonna be so tough. So I know you said to limit to like one or two, but this is gonna be tough. But let's talk about favorite wrestlers. Maybe to kind of like make it easier for like, how about favorite wrestlers per promotion, or I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I have a feeling we're both gonna cheat. So who do you have for favorite wrestlers?
I have two and they are my hard two and these will always be my guys.
Okay.
Number one is the cream of the crop, my macho man, Randy Savage. That is my man. He has been my number one from day one. That was who I got for Christmas as my wrestling buddy. Anything that I can find of his, any toys, every single version of him, I love. There is just something about him with that flying elbow. He is just so charismatic, such a great storyteller, such an athlete. I love him, and he passed way too soon.
Yeah.
I love this man. That is my tried and true. Like that is my guy. Number two, that I will fight for still to this day. Shawn Michaels. I really thought years ago I was going to marry him. I really thought. I remember back in like 96, 97, I was like, oh, there he is. That's him. That's my husband. Um, but there is just something, I think it's just when I compare them to, it's the personality, it's their ring presence, they are icons. I will forever love them. Anytime I see them pop up on my screen, any old match, I gasp every time and I'm like, look how great they are.
Yeah.
They are perfection in my eyes.
Okay, you know what? Let me kind of ad lib one. Now, you mentioned those two wrestlers. What are your favorite storylines of Macho Man and Shawn Michaels?
Well, for Macho, okay, let me think. There was a big one with Jake the Snake that he had with Elizabeth when they got married. And that's actually the autograph that I got from Jake, was the one with Randy tied up in the ropes with his python biting him. Oh, and the story behind that is so funny. But I love that. Anything with Miss Elizabeth, I loved just because I love them together. Mega Powers.
Oh yeah.
So good. And just his match with Ricky Steamboat. It was just perfection. I love watching the behind the scenes of that match and all the details that he put into it, because he was such a perfectionist to be such a performer and cared so much about putting on a great show. And that's what I appreciate. Shawn Michaels, anything that he does is entertaining. And what I love is, he's part of the Clique, which we love, the creation of DX. But I'm going to probably repeat it again in another thing that we're going to discuss, but it's his heel turn with Marty Jannetty.
Okay.
Leaving the Rockers and then going out on his own to be the Heartbreak Kid. Bringing in Diesel. And just everything with Bret Hart. I loved that.
Yeah.
So I could go on and on. So.
Yeah, I know we have to keep moving, but I'll actually agree with you. With Macho Man, that match against Ricky Steamboat was just legendary. Also, later on in his career with WWF, before he jumped ship, I remember he won the title again. And then, I lost to Ric Flair, but like that was like in 92, 93. I thought that was so cool for it to come full circle. And I just thought that was awesome. With Shawn Michaels, there's too many. He really was, Mr. WrestleMania. You want to talk about like from the beginning, winning WrestleMania 12, and then also towards the end, those matches with The Undertaker were legendary. The throat slash to end his career. I mean, like, how do you top that? They stole the show the year before. And you're talking about guys that were way past their prime, but him and Undertaker stole the show, and it was just amazing. But yeah, there's too many matches of his. Yeah, too many matches of his were just great. So that being said, okay. Now, as far as like how we'll go males and we'll go back to you for females. My gosh, this is tough. Man, for WWE, I don't. It's so tough. I mean, the thing is that you can go on and on and on. Honestly, and I'm gonna say this just because he is the hometown guy for WWE, I'm gonna have to go with The Rock. The best. He's the greatest on the mic of all time. He actually worked out at a gym called the Gridiron Club in Weston, so I actually saw him physically. His angle is stone cold. I mean, you want to talk about the Attitude Era? Like he was part of it. And the coolest thing is, this is 25 years later, and he's still headlining. That's how good he is. Oh, so that's we're again, like if I had to deep dive more, I don't know. There's too many, but like I can go on and on. I love Shawn Michaels and Diesel, Razor Ramon, like obviously the whole Clique, and I love the Undertaker and stuff too. But man, like I'm just thinking about like who had the greatest impact, and like The Rock is kind of up there. WCW, this is tough. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do a three-way between Sting, Luger, and Ric Flair. They were always the top guys. They always kind of brought it.
You're so good.
Yeah. And like they held the glue together for so long, because when they at the time in the early 90s, they were getting whooped by WWF. but
Mhm.
they kind of held it there. They were top guys there. So like, but there's so many. The Steiners are up there, but like, yeah. So that's that. And WWF. I mean, you can say I cheated also because I love too many, but so that's that. ECW. My gosh, I can go on. Man, Tommy Dreamer, Mister ECW. You want to talk about, yeah, you want to talk about Rob Van Dam, you're so athletic, Sabu. This is tough. but
Sandman.
yeah. I'm just gonna sprinkle those guys. Now female wrestlers, who do you have for that? This is gonna be a little bit interesting because the female wrestlers, in my opinion, didn't really start to gain the respect they did until recently.
I will say it over and over. My girl. Okay, this is how I feel. It's sensational Sherry.
Oh,
That
okay.
is my girl.
Okay.
I since I was little, that's who I was pretending to be. She is wild and crazy. And we all know there was a little something missing in her head, but she was such a great character. I loved
Yeah.
her. She was a wrestler before she was like a manager, and she was the top manager that you would get to pair up with guys to be the title holder. So if you were with her, that's how you knew you were going to win a strap. But I just loved her. She carried her own, and she was part of some really great factions. And I just remember when I was little, I
Yeah.
would see her and I'm like, I'm gonna be like her. And then still to this day, if someone, like you said, like kind of makes fun of me or says, "What do you want to be a wrestler?" Actually, maybe, maybe not. But I said, if anything, every time I say something where I get an opportunity to be like, oh, maybe I could do something, I'm like, I'm gonna be sensational Sherry. I'm gonna be sensational.
That's awesome.
Like, that's my girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, this one's, I think, man, this is a little bit tougher just because of, you know what? I'm going to go incomplete at the moment. I just think the division is so like women didn't start to get the respect they did until like later on. So it's kind of hard. So like it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to give it a full analysis. So I will give incomplete. Maybe I'm sure we'll revisit this at one point in time. And I'll probably come up with an answer. But
And that's okay.
yeah. All right, let's go tag teams. Oh yeah, right.
You're hard.
Uh, let me start off with one.
Okay.
And this is one of the, if not the most underrated tag team of all time. The Eliminators in WCW. Sorry, the Eliminators in ECW.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. John Kronos and
Hey.
Perry Saturn. Watch some of their matches. Watch when they won the tag team titles in Barely Legal. The total elimination is one of the coolest finishers. And you want to talk about a crowd just popping. I think they're by far one of the most underrated tag teams ever. So yeah, I'm going to show a lot of ECW love because I just don't want them to be forgotten. And yeah, the Eliminators were amazing.
All right. I have one.
Okay.
I actually have two. Um,
Okay.
okay.
And then three and four,
Legion of Doom.
Legion
No,
of
no,
Doom,
no, no.
of
Legion of
course.
Doom.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Um, a lot of it has to do with their entrance music because I just love, oh, what a rush kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then they come out with the spikes and oh man. I thought they were amazing. And what is it? Their finisher Doomsday device.
Yeah.
Uh, so good.
Yeah.
I thought they had a great reign and Hawk and Animal, what two like icons. I love them.
Yeah, that's my brother's
Um,
favorite.
yeah, and then the other one is for my brother who is probably listening. My brother Eric is a big Demolition fan.
Oh, Action Smash and then
And
Adventure Crush.
yeah, and we met them a couple of years ago and they were just like amazing guys.
Uh,
But just to know that they held those titles for like a record amount of time and still not Hall of Famers, it blows my mind, but they were amazing.
yeah.
Oh,
No, totally get it. All right, WCW, I think to me, it would have to be the Steiner brothers. Um,
100%.
yeah, and then when they went up to WWF, like that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm putting in the WCW category. As far as impact and just a guy that everyone like most wrestlers just look up to, including like Raven, who's one of my favorite. Oh, by the way, Raven for ECW too. Well, anyway, go back. The Fabulous Freebirds for WCW was just Terry Bam and Gordy, Michael P.S. Hayes, like they were heels, but they brought it. And like they're like so that they were just them the Steiner. It took them for the Steiners forever to kind of get the titles. So that was a lot of fun. Obviously, but there's so many. I mean, I could talk about the Nasty Boys and Heart Foundation, and yeah, right. There's too many. But you want to talk about someone that like if you want to talk about teams that like really broke through and kind of changed the game, you got to go with the Hardy Boys for WWE, like just because of what they did.
It's too bad that they aren't. They didn't have a good run, and they're nowhere to be found anymore.
Yeah, I know. But no, they were great.
They were amazing, and they still are.
They still are. And then I'm gonna go back to ECW again, but the Dudley Boys, wow, they've cut the bait. I mean, talk about angering the fans. That's what they did. But yeah, they were that Rob Van Dam, Sabu. But then also the only thing that kind of was disappointing towards the end is like basically they would just throw two singles guys and say, okay, you guys are a tag team, So I think like the older tag teams were a little bit better, but yeah, Legion of Doom there's too many. So, but
I have a couple of honorable mentions. Harlem Heat.
Okay.
I love them. And New Age Outlaws.
They're great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is bringing back a lot of good.
Isn't this fun? We could talk for hours on this.
Right. Okay. Greatest faction. There's a lot.
Okay. Well, this is where we're just gonna list them. We can't pick favorites. Okay. Okay. We'll go with. I'll just start listing.
Go for it.
I'm going to do it just because I'm nostalgic right now for the Attitude Era. We'll do DX.
Of course.
NWO.
Uh-huh.
I'm a Four Horsemen fan.
That's what I was about to say. Four Horsemen. I'm going to go for ECW real quick. I just thought they were great heels. Raven, they had what was called the Nest. With Stevie Richards and the blue guy. There was a lot of funny ones. They actually had the BWO, which is the Blue World Order, to make fun of NWO. That was hilarious. But yeah, there's so many factions.
Art Foundation.
Art Foundation's legendary. Absolutely. Oh man, too many. You have any more?
I know I'm forgetting.
Me too. Because there are some that like they drew a lot of. I mean, the Dungeon and WCW, like they were rivals with Four Horsemen, although they had like 10 guys and Four Horsemen had 4.
Oh yeah. I know there was more.
The Radicals when they came for a little bit, but then they broke them up so quickly.
And even Nation of Domination had a whole bunch.
Yeah. And that's what started the Rock.
Guys. Yep.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. WrestleMania moments. And wow, we're probably going to start listing them again, but what do you have for WrestleMania moments?
My number. Okay. I have 3. First one is Iron Man match because that's just, to me, those are my 2 guys. I love Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, of course. So, and for an hour-long match of athleticism and entertainment, sure. Oh my God, those guys are like showstoppers. And then I can't remember which one Mania was where Shawn was the referee for Triple H and Taker.
That was WrestleMania 28. I went to that. That was the one I was at in Miami.
So jealous. I cried. And I still watch it. I get teary-eyed at the very end when they're walking up the ramp. And I'm like, those are the guys. Those are our guys. Like, every single time. And then another one just left my mind. But I mean, there are just too many. Oh, when NWO came and they walked down the ramp and they started fighting DX.
Yeah.
I thought I was like so jealous of everyone in that crowd because I was like, you are a part of our childhood and you get to see this in person. And that was probably the last time we would ever see that happen.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, that's and again, we can go on and on and on about like different WrestleMania moments. I'll try to be brief. There's too many. Hogan being Sergeant Slaughter just because it made you feel good. Because again, like Sergeant Slaughter just pinched a nerve, a wrong one, and it felt good for it to go back to babyface. I mean, most people would probably say Hogan Warrior because that was such an epic match.
mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart because that's when the torch was passed, if you want to call it that, and that was so good. I have too many as well. Like, but the Undertaker. So I went to WrestleMania 28. So like, and specifically that Undertaker Triple H match, that was so special to watch. I actually went to WrestleMania 24 for Ric Flair's last match when he told Shawn to bring it. The throat slash of Shawn Michaels and Undertaker was special. Oh man, I mean, I know you don't like him as much, but I thought Daniel Bryan winning in WrestleMania 30 and the entire crowd just going with him, that's an honorable mention. That was just such a fun thing too. Just also the special guest of that kept coming out. I mean, like there's so many, and like they really do go all out. I know they spend additional dollars for all the cool entrances at WrestleMania. Like there's just so many. It's so hard to say. Like, but yeah, WrestleMania 28 was special to me because it was in Miami. I hope they come back sooner rather than later because the crowd loved it and it was just so fun. They did it up right.
Mm-hmm.
The
I'm
Rock
so
and
jealous.
yeah, the Rock and John Cena. Well, next time they come down, you're coming. So end of story. All right, favorite entrance. This is there's a lot of them. Oh man, I already know who I'm gonna, but mine's are a little bit unfair. But who you got?
Okay, I was thinking about this the other night. Okay, Stone Cold.
Okay.
It's so obvious, but when you could be anywhere in the middle of anything in that ring and you hear that glass smash, you know he is coming.
Yeah.
And there I just love Stone Cold. He is just amazing.
Okay.
I also, when I was younger, I loved Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
So when he would just like run full on and he was a psychopath and then he would get and just like go. I don't know. I just loved it when he grabbed the ropes and went crazy. I still catch myself anytime I can hold on to a rope, I'll do that. So,
yeah.
Yeah, those are the two that come to mind.
Okay. I have a couple. Obviously, like the DX intro is just so dope with the with the screen. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's awesome. But the reason why I kind of have an unfair advantage is I'm going to go with a couple of ECW ones, and they use actual music, which they probably did not have the rights to, but they did it anyway. Rob Van Dam coming on Pantera's Walk. I mean, the song is amazing, and like you want to again, they're so interactive with their entrances. You have Tommy Dreamer with Man in the Box, Alice in Chains. I mean, huge grunge guy, so that's that. But if you want to talk about an entrance where everyone in the crowd is interactive, and I mean everyone, Sandman. He came out to enter Sandman.
100%. Yeah.
And he would pour beer in fan, like he had no idea if these guys were legally allowed to drink or not. I don't think he cared. And you want to talk about the entire crowd participating in something all at once. When Sandman came back to ECW and the lights came out, it was an explosion. So yeah, I'm gonna give a lot of my ECW guys a lot of love, and like the Sandman is unmatched.
Oh yeah.
All right. So now, heel turn. I have a feeling I already know this, but let's go heel turn for you.
I love a heel turn.
Yeah.
The ones that I remember and I loved is, you've already brought it up, Sergeant Slaughter's heel turn, because no one was expecting that because he was an American guy. It is G.I. Joe.
Wow.
And, with his incredible matches with the Iron Sheik, with that boot camp match, so good. And then all of a sudden in 1990, he turns and becomes the Iraqi sympathist. And it becomes this huge political thing. it breaks America's heart. And when I met Slaughter, that was one of the stories that he told me, because I asked him, I'm like, how did that impact you? And he was like, they thought it was a real thing. So he had to get like police involved to watch his family and his
Yeah.
house, and it was insane. And then,
Yeah.
of course, Shawn Michaels and his heel turn at Brutus's barber shop against
Yep.
Marty Jannetty, which made the greatest thing ever. So,
Yeah, absolutely. For me, and this just revolutionized because this is the one guy I never thought would turn heel. And the fact that he did was just amazing. But that's the Hulkster with the NWO.
NWO.
Like, I genuinely, when he came down the ring and they said there's a third guy, there, Bobby Brain Heenan, who was a heel announcer, said, "Yeah, but whose side is he on?" They're like, "Are you kidding me?" Blah blah blah, and he turned heel, and that
And
was like
he
a
dropped that leg on Randy Savage.
yeah, and everybody was like, "Oh." So that was the one guy you never thought would turn heel, and that was him. So that's the one that stands out. There have been guys that have went back and forth between face and heel, and like you kind of see it coming, but to me, that's the one that stands out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. All right. Oh, PLEs. This is fun. Okay, so the WrestleManias. Okay, well, go ahead. Like, what would you say? Because I think the WrestleManias are a given, but I have other ones that.
My end all be all, and I have said this to everyone. Royal Rumble is my number one. And I find that so random, but it's because I love the actual Rumble match.
Me too. Me
The
too.
fact that only some of the people that are going to be there, and then they just start running out, and then they have like surprise entrances, and this is going to lead up to Mania. It's just, I love them. January is like the most fun time of the year because it's Rumble season.
For sure. Rumbles are there any Royal Rumbles that stand out to you? I'm assuming the one you went to.
Well, yes. So I went to the one this year, and that was pretty fun because I just happened to be right next to Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns when they were in the box. So that was pretty cool. And I got Seth Rollins popcorn. And and but the other past Rumbles, some of my favorites have been obviously the ones with Shawn Michaels winning 2 times in a row. Sure. Just surprise entrances, little things like that. It's just the excitement.
Fair enough. Okay. We obviously have the Manias. I was blessed to go to 2, 24 and 28. So those are very special to me. As far as the WrestleManias, though, I mean, it's hard to say. Like WrestleMania 4 really was, they say it was the greatest of all, like Mania of all time. Like you can kind of make the argument just because of all the things that happened. So as far as WrestleManias go, that is kind of valid in that regard. Royal Rumbles, I was blessed to go to 2. 2002 in Atlanta when Triple H won. 2006, which was super special to me. I thought it was so cool. I think that they did the right thing with Rey Mysterio winning. So that's that. Mm-hmm. Honorable mention, we're going to go to, Money in the Bank 2011. I watched it yesterday again. Daniel Bryan winning set the crowd on fire. But so when CM Punk won and McMahon took off, said, "Tell Alberto to cash it in now." And then you thought that, okay, here we go. But no, he knocks Alberto out. He runs out, blows a kiss. Legendary. That crowd was so hot. The backlash in Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny, I thought was such a cool moment because, again, you want to talk about a crowd going hot. That was awesome. Just the honorable mention. I want to put it up there in category. And then for WCW, it would be the Great American Bash with the whole NWO beginning. So, yeah, that's that. But as far as ECW, please check it out. Heatwave 98. The funniest thing about Heatwave 98 is originally going into it, I was like, I didn't expect much. And I remember it was on a Saturday and I watched it with my buddy and I was blown away. That was the greatest ECW PLE of all time, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. I'm curious to hear what other ECW fans have to say, but that was such a good event. So as far as PLEs, that's where I go. But yeah, I love the concept of Money in the Bank in general about cashing in. I think it's great. But yeah, the 2011, I think will be unmatched for Money in the Bank. But yeah, like obviously Manias are Manias. Go ahead.
I'm going to throw in one random honorable mention is King of the Ring when Stone Cold cut the promo for
Yeah, oh yeah,
360s.
yeah. That's what started Austin 316. All right, favorite finisher?
I am going to go with two. Um, I have more than two, but we'll just for time purposes, I'm going to go with the Stone Cold Stunner
Yeah.
because it is impactful. People love to sell that hit, and he's just a force of nature. And Randy Orton's
Okay.
I just love everything about
Yeah.
like you can just, it's like it's a cutter. You can
Yeah.
just throw it at him anywhere.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I we'll go Stone Cold with the Stunner just because it is impactful. Honorable mention the people's elbow. But I'm also gonna go with the 5-star Frog Splash just because I mean, like the athletic ability on that is just insane. Again, I gotta show my ECW guys love. So all right, let's go Mount Rushmore. And we probably have to do promotion. We gotta be pretty quick. We're about to our time's limited. What you got for WCW?
We're doing WCW
Well,
and WW.
yeah, can we?
Oh my Lord. Okay, I wasn't prepared for that. Okay, WCW. Let's go Flair, Sting. I'm gonna go with
Luger?
DDP
Okay.
because I always associate him with them. Um,
No Luger, huh?
I was thinking of Luger or um. Oh goodness. I wasn't prepared for WCW. You know what? I every time I do see a Luger match, I'm like, oh, that's really good. So
All right, I'm going to cheat. I'm gonna say the same guys you did, and I'm gonna add the Steiners. So, all right, WWE, what you got?
Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Stone Cold,
Uh-huh.
Randy Savage.
Fair enough. I'm gonna go with your first three, and then the last one. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put Cena.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
fair
fair.
enough. All right, ECW. I know you don't have, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, maybe you don't have it. I do.
All of them would be Sandman.
Sandman, Dreamer, Raven, and RVD. Wow. All right. Wow. We're running out of time, but wow, what a fun episode. What a fun episode. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Deseree Jason.
Please chime in. Please DM us on Instagram at the Shoots and Ladders. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye, friends.